Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I was following with keen interest the discussions this afternoon. Let me begin by saying that I commend the panelists for very insightful presentations and the participants from the floor for their pertinent interventions. I was particularly delighted to see or hear the Minister of Industries present on behalf of the Minister of Economy and Finance of Cote d'Ivoire his country's nutritional investment strategy and plan. In many countries, this would not have been the case. The ministers of finance would leave the matter to the ministers responsible for children, or ministers of health or agriculture. I therefore commend the government of Cote d'Ivoire for doing it right and for setting a good example for other SUNGG countries to emulate. Surely when the Minister of Finance becomes a nutrition champion, or feels obliged to play his or her rightful role in advancing the nutrition agenda, it will make a huge difference. Because in many of our countries, raising resources for nutrition is a big challenge. It will be easier to get investments needed to meet the nutritional agenda and targets set than it would be otherwise. Excellencies, in the same vein, I would like to congratulate our very able moderator for her stewardship. All in all, the presentations of the panelists and interventions from the floor were candid, focused, and brought to light pertinent issues in advancing the nutrition agenda. These kinds of dialogues are important in sharing knowledge and experience, which is crucial for advancing nutrition in the world. Allow me therefore to commend you all for the lively and wonderful deliberations so far. Ladies and gentlemen, the discussions have underscored in no uncertain terms that nutrition is indeed a maker and a mark of development. There is a nexus between investing in nutrition and socio-economic growth and development of societies and nations. It makes economic sense, it makes economic and business sense to invest in nutrition. The panel has repeatedly said it again and again. We've been told by experts that investing $1 in nutrition gives a return of $16. This is a very smart investment indeed, which is worth taking the risk. We heard multiple times how families, communities, and nations benefit from well-nourished children, women, and men. We also heard about the negative impact of malnutrition on the learning outcomes of children, on the state of maternal and child health, and on the productivity of both men and women. Yesterday, when I made reference to this, it created a bit of discussions. Again, experts have told us that malnutrition causes nations to lose 11% of their GDP. This is a huge loss to the economy, which, if not constrained, could impact negatively on the socio-economic growth and development of the respective countries. It goes without saying, therefore, that investing in nutrition is the right thing to do. It serves the best interests of families, communities, and nations. It is an investment to a promising future for all of us. Excellencies, it is because of appreciating the effects, costs, and benefits of good nutrition or lack thereof, which convinced me to become a nutrition champion. The first time was in 1990 after meeting one Dr. Ashraf from UNICEF, who exposed me to the effects of iodine deficiency, but also taught me ways to deal with them. He educated me on the problems of iodine deficiency, but also he educated me on how can be controlled by iodizing salt, the salt we consume. In my capacity as Minister for Energy and Minerals then, responsible for licensing producers of salt, we enacted a law making it mandatory for the salt produced and consumed in the country to be iodated. We assisted salt producers to acquire salt iodation plants. Also, we made it mandatory for salt imported to meet iodation standards. These measures have helped to control iodine deficiency in the country, and our people, many of the effects, our people are much healthier and saved from the effects of iodine deficiency. The second time I became nutrition champion was 7 years ago, when I accepted the invitation from then Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to join the SUNGG movement lead group. It was also then I decided to make my dear country, Tanzania, to become a member of the SUNGG movement. When you are president, you have the latitude to make decisions. In pursuit of the aspirations of the SUNGG movement, we decided to take bold action to scale up interventions on the nutritional development in our country. In accordance with powers vested on the President, I placed nutrition under the Prime Minister, because as President, you allocate portfolios, and you define within those portfolios what are they going to do. So I said nutrition affairs is going to be the business of the Prime Minister to oversee. The idea was to make it easy for actions to be taken in view of the cross-cutting nature of nutrition. Nutrition involves many sectors of government under different ministries. So being coordinated by the Prime Minister was the most rational thing to do. Another minister cannot easily call another minister. The minister responsible for nutrition has problems. He cannot call the Minister of Finance and tell you, look here, I have a problem, please help, please solve this problem. But the Prime Minister can. He has a problem, solve it. Despite handing over the responsibility to the Prime Minister, I decided to get more personally involved in nutritional matters to give it greater push. I did that because the reports I got was that we were not performing well. Stunting was 42%, wasting high, anemia among women so high. So I said, okay, fine, the Prime Minister is going to be in charge, but I'm going to lead assault against malnutrition. As you know, when the President takes interest in something, it opens many doors. Because the President is the ultimate. If he says, I want this done, it will be done. If someone chooses not to do, he's losing his job. Simple. I appointed a senior nutrition expert to be my personal assistant and advisor on nutrition matters so that I can make informed and correct decisions. In the process, we created a high-level steering committee on nutrition, chaired by the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. This was a multi-sectoral, multidisciplinary group It had members of government, donors, UN agencies, civil society, the private sector and academia, faith-based organizations. I used to meet with this committee regularly, listen from them, how are we progressing, but also give them instructions on how to proceed. And if they tell me they have a problem anywhere, I would call the person responsible. I said, solve it and report to me next week. In the process, we developed the 5-year nutrition strategy, 2011, 12, and 2015, 16. We also developed a costed implementation plan. The process also of developing this strategy and the plan was a multi-sectoral involvement. We increased budget allocations for nutrition to facilitate implementation of the nutrition strategy. As a matter of fact, we doubled government contribution, government expenditure on nutrition. Besides this, we took several other measures to improve implementation of the nutrition agenda. First, we strengthened the operations of the National High-Level Committee by establishing regional and district committees to create a chain of command that reaches up to the grassroots where the people are. Also, we appointed nutrition officers for all the district councils, because there used to be none. We have been having the Tanzania Food and Nutrition Center since 1973, but hardly were there any officials in the districts overseeing or promoting nutrition. So I said, this can't work. So we did that when we did. Secondly, we worked with the private sector on fortification of wheat flour, maize flour, and edible oils. More plants, 10 plants were added, both on wheat flour and edible oil fortification. We also embarked on fortification of maize flour, a small and medium scale flour mills, because we grow a lot of maize. And this is being grown by the people. It's a major step of food. So the grinding is done by the local people in the villages. So we also created a program working with USAID to fortify maize flour in the small plants that are operating in the rural areas. We later also promoted home-based food fortification for children under the age of 6 to 24 months. We were able to mobilize. Unfortunately, we were able to mobilize only 20% of the projected resources required for implementation of the plan. However, the little investment that we made paid off. By the time I left office, stunting was reduced by 8%. In a matter of 4 years, from 42% in 2011 to 34.7% in 2015. Wasting for under 5 children dropped from 4.5 to 3.8. Exclusive breastfeeding increased from 41.1% to 59%. There was an increase in vitamin A supplementation for children between the ages of 6 and 59 months, from 61% to 72%. The coverage of deworming for children between the age of 12 and 59 months, was increased from 50% to 71%. we managed to ensure access to fortified flour for about 2.9 million women and 2.2 million children under the age of 5. We ensured 5.7 million women and 4.3 million children got access to fortified edible oil. I believe if we were able to mobilize, we would have been able to mobilize, if we were able to mobilize more than the 20% we were able to get, we would have done much more. I left the office in 2015, leaving behind a huge unfinished business in fighting malnutrition. Still, 2.7 million children were stunted. Gladly, my successor, President Magufuli, has continued from where we left off. The good news is that the National Multi-Sectoral Nutrition Action Plan 2016-2021 was launched on September 6th this year. This is a successor to the National Nutrition Strategy and Implementation Plan that we had earlier put in place. The government committed to invest $115 million of its own money out of the $268 million required. If this money is made available, we'll make strong, hard headway towards implementation. Let me conclude now. Ladies and gentlemen, I have never regretted to dedicate my time and invest public and private resources on nutrition. The only regret I have, is that I could not do as much as I had wanted to for reasons of not being able to mobilize adequate financial resources. I have retired from office, but I've decided to remain committed, involved in championing the noble cause of nutrition. It is something that I'm happy to do. I enjoy doing it and stand ready to continue to do so throughout my life. Earlier this year, I established my foundation, and improving nutrition is well anchored among the priority agenda items of our foundation. In conclusion, I would like to say that it is possible to end malnutrition. It is doable. I have tried it, I have experienced it, and I have seen it work. Through working together with partnership and collaboration with the various stakeholders, we should be able to end all forms of malnutrition by 2030, including by 2025, internationally agreed targets on stunting and wasting in children under 5 years of age, and address the nutritional needs of adolescent girls, pregnant and lactating women and older persons, as required by SDG on nutrition, on zero hunger. It can be done. Play your part. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for this brilliant speech.